Hey folks, welcome to another VR and AR video. I recently attended AWE USA 2022 and I wanted to make a video that's kind of like a vlog that talks a bit about the atmosphere and what I got to see at the event. So the first thing I want to talk about is the mindset that seemed to be ever present throughout the event. From the opening keynote to the closing ceremony, AWE was about using VR and AR and building things as a community to change the world for the better. Last year in November, the tone seemed to be a shift toward using that one M word a lot. And it still was present, but it was very diminished. It wasn't a lot of corporate speak, it was more about trying to live in harmony and using VR and AR for good. And that was a huge plus to me, and it really resonated for me. And I actually left the event kind of changed in hopefully positive ways. I want to try to keep the negativity out of all of my VR and AR experience and promote the good that people are doing within this community because it's extremely important and we can help change the world using the technology that we have available to us. So now that I've got that preamble out of the way, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that I saw and got my hands, eyes, head, and seat on throughout the event. So the first product I got to try was actually in this little Snap AR lounge outside of the main stage. I am a big fan of the Snap Spectacles devices. I have all three generations that are available to public consumers, but I hadn't yet gotten my eyes on the next generation Snap Spectacles. So Snap being available with demos, I absolutely jumped at the chance to do so with my friend Sebastian Ong from Mixed Reality TV. We waited in a short line and got to see what Snap has as a potential for a future product. Now, this is a developer only product right now. I don't know if it'll become commercially available or if there will be a next generation Snap Spectacles that comes to consumers. But what I will say is it was a small FOV, but Snap lenses worked great in the spectacles. They had a little touchpad for navigation, swiping left and right, up and down. I was able to navigate a carousel of different lens effects and deploy them. The major effect that I was able to use was kind of a map. And from that map, you could use voice commands because it also recognizes with microphones in the device your speech. I could pull up the different constellations of stars in the sky and look all around and see them. And then also focus on different zodiac signs, and it would move directly to that particular, with an arrow to that particular constellation. So you could look through the sky and find your star sign, which was really cool. I thought that the brightness of the glasses was phenomenal. You could actually step outside in direct sunlight and still have a perfectly viewable screen, which kind of blew my mind because I haven't seen that from any other AR devices at this point. I am excited to see what Snap does with these and future iterations of the spectacles. I wasn't really enthused by the Pixie, their little selfie drone that they just released. I was hoping that this year they would announce a consumer ready Snap Spectacles next generation, but when these come to market, this is something I will probably be first in line to buy. I am excited to see what Snap and the creators building these lenses do. Lens Studio seems fairly easy to work with, so I might actually try to experiment with it myself sometime in the future. But right now, just seeing the talent and the creativity from folks and being able to view it in these glasses was phenomenal. The next thing I got to check out was the Varjo Reality Cloud, which is a 1,000-to-1 lossless compression system that takes your data, renders it from the cloud, and pushes it directly to even a slightly lower powered PC running right now Varjo headsets. So Varjo is best in class by far for XR headsets at this time. whether it be AR or VR, the XR3 has the best pass through, the best fidelity that you can get on the market today. I got to try out a demo that I tried a long time ago of a 3D model of a vehicle. So it's a nice car. You can actually see all of the gauges, all of the numbers, the little message on the mirror, and anything playing on the radio in the dashboard radio. Like you could read the fine details of the next now playing track and the next playing track. All of that detail in high fidelity in your vision. And with the XR3, you can also have full pass through, so I could actually have conversations with the Varjo employees and look them in the eye, which is strange when you have a headset covering your face. What I can say, though, is even though this was cloud rendered, it had that same fidelity as it would have if it was rendered locally. I've done the demo locally. So doing that demo locally and doing it cloud rendered, it was almost identical. The one flaw that I saw, because it was not perfect, was there were around dime-sized dots of pass-through showing up that shouldn't have been there where the model was. And what they attributed that to was because we were in a conference room in a hotel with lesser than optimal Wi-Fi. Now, typically, this type of deployment is going to happen on a automotive or Department of Defense or other industrial category where they're probably going to have pretty decent Wi-Fi even if they're working from home. But Varjo have definitely embraced the new normal culture of people working from home or working remotely in industrial situations. And I'm excited to see what Varjo Reality Cloud develops into. Now, right now, I believe they said it was a license of around $1,500 for up to 5 seats, 5 users to use this software. Again, it is exclusively right now on Varjo headsets, but in the future, if this takes off, if this becomes successful, this same foundation may be working with other headsets or other devices in the future. And I'm excited to see this. This was one of the best cloud-based platforms I have ever seen, and of course working on the top-of-the-line hardware in the VR sector. During a panel, I was sitting in the back of the room. Someone noticed my name, knew who I was, and they brought over to me a video of their interesting piece of hardware. It was called Vitruvian VR, and it's actually a kind of unique platform. It's that spinning man platform that Leonardo da Vinci made a long time ago, but adapted for VR and in use with space engines. You can actually tilt and soar through space with the entire mapped universe within Space Engine. I didn't get to try this for myself, but the video was pretty intriguing, so I wanted to mention it in this video. I think this would be something you'd probably try at a museum. Similar to, there's an old piece of technology called Birdly, where you actually flapped your wings on kind of a massage table style platform. I could see this being something that would also be a great museum or location-based installation. Planetariums would be amazing to have this type of technology where you're actually soaring through the galaxy or flying past the stars. This was pretty cool to see, and these types of running into developers at these events are frequent occurrences, but this was one I wanted to mention for sure because it was interesting and something that felt a little bit unique within the VR sector. Once I finally got to the show floor, that's right, at this point, these were all things that I did prior to the expo hall floor being opened. But once I got to the show floor, one of the first things I got to check out was the Looking Glass Factory system, which is a holographic display, multiple sizes, fairly thick glass. So what that allows for is also a lot of depth to the image. So when you're looking at a face, you're looking at almost the entire head of a person. It's pretty impressive, and what they're now doing, what they just announced as part of AWE or shortly before, is what they're calling holograms on the internet, which takes that same technology and makes it available that you can open in different devices or even from as simple as a web browser. So this is going to be good for things like 3D models, 3D art, whether that be NFTs, whether that be any other type of photos, artwork, what have you. Similar to another company I'm going to be talking about later, Looking Glass does have a 2D to 3D conversion algorithm, so you can even take your old 2D photos, or even new ones, and convert those to stunning 3D images that you can either use with the Looking Glass platform or, again, in the future, or if you're interested in early access, with their holograms on the net platform. Probably my favorite thing at the AWE event this year was revisiting Snapdragon Spaces. I got to check out Snapdragon Spaces last November at AWE. It felt a lot like my Nreal Light. I was using a Think Reality A3 from Lenovo with a phone as a controller, looking at a demo of these little boxed rooms. It wasn't really all that impressive. It felt very familiar. What I can say is, in just that brief 6+ month period of time, Snapdragon Spaces has emerged with a ton of great demos, at least. They had Trip, they had Figment XR, and the demo that I was most excited to try was Demio. Resolution Games in the past 3 weeks or so put together a demo of Demio that took you through the entire tutorial and a small battle with a cave troll to escape a small dungeon, and it felt just as cool to play as the VR version of the game, but of course, fully aware of the expo hall around me. Now, am I excited for this to eventually potentially come to Snapdragon Spaces? Absolutely. Snapdragon Spaces is currently only available for deployment on a dev kit that consists of the Lenovo Think Reality A3 with a Motorola Edge Plus phone. Now, that technology is similar to the technology that I have with an Nreal Light as a viewer and a Sony Xperia 5 or a Samsung Galaxy S22. Those devices are interchangeable. They both have USB-C DisplayPort out. There's the possibility that Snapdragon Spaces will eventually become compatible with devices that I have in my home right now. Again, right now this is a developer platform. The SDK was announced to be freely available for all developers at this time. So when I left AWE, I loaded up the SDK. It does not work yet with my phone, with my Nreal Light headset. And it may never, to be perfectly honest. But I'm excited to see where Snapdragon Spaces goes, because the Demio demo was outstanding. One of the best AR demos, if not the best AR demo I've ever had. And that really is attributed not just to Snapdragon Spaces, but also to how powerful Demio is a game. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Demio in just a few minutes, but I do want to mention, if you are interested in developing for Snapdragon Spaces, Snapdragon Spaces dev kits are available at a reduced cost of $1,999. That includes both the phone and the AR glasses. Check it out if you have the resources to do so and are interested in building for the platform. Up next, I move from AR to AR to check out the Magic Leap 2 device. And this was the first time that I was able to experience this device. It's been floating around. It was actually at the last AWE. but not on the show floor. People just had it and pulled it out to show kind of privately or in hallway demos. The Magic Leap 2 has definitely impressed me with their field of view when compared to the HoloLens 2 or the Magic Leap 1. I really liked the selective dimming feature that's available, because that way you can control whether it's more of a almost closed off VR experience or an open collaborative experience in person. I liked the demo that they provided. I got to try the wildfire demo, which actually is tracking the progress in fighting back a wildfire, and the wind patterns and the weather and the climate and where the firefighters are being deployed, and real-time video of the wildfire being hopefully extinguished, or at least fought back. It was a very good and compelling demo for an enterprise headset. I have no idea what the price point's going to be for this. I suspect it's probably going to be slightly more or a similar cost to the Magic Leap 1 when it first released. I will say it is definitely a lighter device. It does have greater FOV. It does have that selective dimming feature. But from a feature set perspective, it's an iterative device over the Magic Leap 1. It's not a magic leap, if you will, from the technology that was in the initial device. It's very similar technology, but the back end is now going to be Android open source project, as opposed to the Magic Leap 1 supported kind of a hybrid Magic Leap version of Android. This is actually going to run on Android open source project, which will give you the ability to bake in more functionality and more Android flexibility than the original SDK. I don't know when the Magic Leap 2 is going to become available. I know that there is a developer program that you can sign up for at magicleap.com. And I believe this is going to become available for enterprise use sometime later this year. Next up, I got to meet VR Bug, one of my favorite YouTubers, and try out the eTee buttonless controllers. Now, I've been trying to take my hands and put them in these controllers since OC5, I believe, which was a number of years ago. I had contacted Jacob, who at the time was one of the promoters for the product, and set up a demo, and we just never aligned, unfortunately. So this was finally the time I could check out these controllers, and I was really excited to try them, and they work really well. They're kind of a flexible plastic. They do not have buttons, but they have great finger tracking, and they have little sort of curved cup touchpads on the top. I got to try the Moondust demo, which is what Valve used to show off the index controllers when they first released, and prior for developers to use as an inspiration for integrating index controllers into their pipeline. Talking to VR Bug, he mentioned the ability to map buttons to gestures and things of that nature make the controllers just as powerful as controllers that have A, B, X, Y buttons and things of that nature. He was able to play through the entirety of Half-Life Alyx with these controllers. Folks are using them with Gravity Sketch or Tilt Brush. Folks are using them with finger tracking to have more of a presence in social apps like Neos and VR Chat. And I'm excited to see more users get their hands on them, to see what they use them for. And hopefully, if more people buy these, they'll iterate on this product, because right now they're a little bit small, for my hands at least. And I'd love to have a little bit more response, kind of a squishy response, as opposed to it's a very firm response with the plastic right now. Don't know if that's possible, but I think that there's a lot of potential and a lot of promise in these controllers, and that if you have interest in digit tracking and you don't want to have gloves, or you don't like the feel of the index controllers, these are definitely something that you can check out. They are starting to ship at this point, I believe, or shipping soon this year. And there are two different models available. either a 3DOF model, which does not have any type of tracker attached, which you can add an adapter and add your own VIVE trackers or Tundra trackers to, or they do have their own trackers built into a Steam VR controller itself. The price points vary based on which one you're going to get, but you can definitely check them out. I believe the website for these is eteexr.com. An interesting kind of throwback for me was Holokit and their Holokit X device. This is a device that you insert your phone into and get a pretty decent, honestly, AR experience. It's kind of mirror based, put your phone kind of at a top angle and then it mirrors that screen to lenses in front of your eyes. They had a cardboard style model, but the device that you were using was kind of a deluxe model. That device has a head strap, just about as comfortable as a Daydream View device was, and they had kind of a multiplayer, almost MOBA style game that you could kind of use gestures to fire spells at each other. It was an interesting device. It's $129 and it only supports iOS devices. Unfortunately, I have an Android device, so it wasn't something that I was going to put the money toward. And I feel like, AR glasses right now are still starting to mature. I don't think this is the one that's potentially going to take off, unfortunately. But if you're interested in experimenting and trying things and you don't want to spend the full amount that you would for AR glasses at this time or another AR device, but you're not happy with just developing AR for your phone itself, check out the Holokit devices. Might be something that fits your particular niche need at this time. So going back to Demio, I tried a number of demos with Tilt 5. Tilt 5 also had a pretty cool way to present their games and experiences to an audience. They've partnered with Mixcast, and the demo that they were showing actually had a screen showing a Mixcast view of the game board. Tilt 5 has a reflective surface that's used as a game board. They have a wand-style controller, looks kind of like a barbecue lighter, but also has a gamepad on it, and you can turn it sideways and play gamepad-style games. And, of course, glasses that reflect through projectors onto the gamepad surface so that you can see a very rich fidelity holographic display below on that game board. What was awesome about the Mixcast feature is you could actually see that full game board view in the screen in front of you. So it was almost like an attract screen for an old arcade game, if that makes sense. But I could also see it used in conjunction with the Tilt 5 system to make some pretty cool, compelling YouTube or Twitch streams or videos showing how the technology works, or getting your whole party together in a game like Demio, which is not yet available and hopefully will be someday in the future on the Tilt 5 system. I would love to get 4 friends together and crawl a dungeon with a game board in front of us, surrounding the table with a bunch of camera angles and with that Mixcast presentation. I think that would make a killer series of videos going through all of the different modules of a game like that, or games that already exist for Tilt 5, to be fair. They've got Tabletopia, which is a ton of different online representations of tabletop games. And they've got a bunch of other content that's either in development and coming soon or already available for the device. It is shipping now. A single set of glasses, wand controller, and game board runs $359. They are kind of still in a pre-order phase. $5 reserves yours. They're finishing up their Kickstarter and back order queue right now, and they said if you order at the present time, you'd probably be able to receive your shipment sometime in the month of August. I got to try the Yaw 2 motion simulator with Coaster Combat, so it's kind of a tame-ish setup with Coaster Combat because it's a little slower moving roller coaster mechanic. But I saw the mechanics that were available with the Atu, and I immediately pictured having an entire theme park available in your home. This device is awesome. It is probably one of the more comfortable office style, gaming style chairs that you can ever sit on, with the ability to move as a motion platform. And Coaster Combat, kind of rolls you around, and there are some loops and some bends and curves, even though it's a little bit of a slower experience. Uh, I really enjoyed it. I can't justify getting one, of course, at the current time, but I can see what it can do for the future. You could put one of these in your basement, and hopefully developers will recreate or create experiences that rival things like Disneyland. Disneyland, if you don't know, a lot of the experiences are motion simulators. So if you do Star Tours as an example, Star Tours is completely just a motion simulator with a screen in front of you. Imagine something like that with a VR headset or even AR glasses in your own home. You could go on an entire amusement park seated in one of these chairs. And I think that type of future is something to get excited for. At the current time, the way the world is working, where there's a lot of isolationism and quarantining and things of that nature, you can still have those thrill ride experiences in your home, or maybe there will be designated community motion simulators or things of that nature. This is the type of thing that really excites me, and I hope that 5 or 10 years down the road, you don't have to travel far away to experience the thrills of an amusement park. You can just sit down in your favorite chair and strap on a headset. Another cool thing that was just kind of sitting in a hallway was the in3D avatar creator. And what they did is they just took a couple of 10-second videos, one where you just turn your face like this, and one where you rotate in an A pose your entire body. And they built a rigged avatar, fully rigged avatar from that you could change clothes or export to different formats that you can actually use in Unity or Unreal Engine, or export to VR chat or what have you. And it was just a quick process. Like within a minute, I had a full scan of myself in the clothes that I was wearing that day, and I could change into an astronaut outfit if I wanted to, and do these different dancing animations or fight poses. It was really impressive to me that they did this just that quickly, and it was free. Like there was no upcharge, there was no large lighting rig or series of cameras to do it. It was just a single camera on, I believe, an iPad. They did say that this is capable of being used with really virtually any camera. So it was impressive. I was really kind of blown away at how well it worked for something that quick. I also got to check out a quick demo of Jolly Good VR's clinical training. Now, they focused on the medical industry in Japan, and what they've done is they've built, at least in this demo app, a training application that helps you to develop the correct hand poses for holding things like scalpels, or sewing in the sutures for holding a tube when you're intubating someone, or things of that nature. It was interesting. I've done a bunch of surgical simulation because I'm fascinated by the medical side of things, and even just overall industrial training in virtual reality. I can't say this was as good as something like the Ghost Wraith system that I tried out on App Lab a couple of weeks ago, but it was an interesting spin on just kind of getting the hand poses correct for surgical procedures. I don't know how much clinical training library of applications this company has, but this short demo was inspiring. Like, I'm glad that it existed and that they shared it with the users at AWE. I also tried a kind of strange set of AR glasses called Region glasses by a company that's been around the industry for a very long time called Ant VR. Now, Region glasses, I actually have this weird thing that they gave me. I'm going to pull out here. They look kind of like this. And they had what equated to maybe 8-bit graphics. They kind of look like the old Tiger Electronics dot matrix style graphics. A bit odd. They are going to be launching on Kickstarter with a low-end early bird cost of $129. The demo was literally just a series of these kind of pixel-based graphics flashing in front of my eyes. I don't know really what functionality these are going to have. It kind of felt like being activated as a secret agent with a series of flashing things. It was really weird. Probably the strangest thing that I experienced at AWE. I don't think this is something that I would back, but what I wrote on Twitter was it would be like if AR glasses were created in the early 90s. And I still think that that's what these have. They do mention in their sales pitch materials that they are 3DOF glasses with a HUD as their intended purpose, with GPS, with audio playback available. Maybe for fitness or something? I'm really not sure what you would use these things for. They were strange. But Ant VR, I applaud you for continuing to stay in the market and coming up with these somewhat crazy devices. I hope you have success with your Kickstarter. If you're interested, I believe their website is literally just region.glass. Check it out. Sony had a small booth with their Spatial Reality display, which is a Lightfield kind of holographic display. I will say that theirs didn't have a lot of depth to it, even if you were seated directly in front of it. And that puzzled me, because other companies like Looking Glass and another company I'm going to be talking about in a moment seem to have nailed this technology better than one of my favorite companies, Sony. I don't know if it was just the lighting in the conference room, or the expo hall rather, space. I'm not sure why I wasn't blown away by this device. I'm not sure if it was just the type of prototype that they brought or if it's something that's still in development. But it was cool to see Sony entering this space. Sony has been huge on 3D and VR for as long as I can remember, honestly. And I'm excited to see them exploring these possibilities with these holographic style displays. The company that was the winner for me for best 3D holographic display, at least at AWE 2022, was Leia with their 15.6-inch Lightfield display. It was amazing. I did a bit of a dungeon crawl and also watched a movie clip reel. I have a Leia LumiPad and a Red Hydrogen 1 phone, which both use their 4-view display technology to kind of bring depth out. From what I understand, the 15.6-inch Lightfield display that I got to try out actually has kind of 16 views, so there's more depth to it. It's better at multiple viewing angles. There was kind of an eye tracking sensor attached to the top of the display, so if you tilted your head from left to right or things of that nature, to an extent, I went a little bit outside the boundary and there was a red rectangle that went around the entire display. So it's not entirely perfect, like you can't get a viewing angle from feet away. You have to still be kind of a single user up upon the device. But what I saw was impressive. It was popping out at me 3D from pretty much any viewing angle, and you could kind of peer around things, which I can't really do all that much with my LumiPad. If I don't keep my head kind of in a specific viewing angle, you start to see lines and distortion around the effect. So seeing their advancement in the technology and seeing it at such a crystal clear fidelity was very impressive. I think this is right now, at least, if you're looking at a no glasses holographic display or 3D display technology. This is the one to watch. I don't believe it's available to purchase unless you're looking to be an OEM supplier, but very cool technology, and I'm excited to see how honestly quickly Leia has advanced in this particular field, from supporting the display on the red hydrogen phone to the LumaPad to this very, very impressive, I believe they said, retina style uh, Lightfield display. On the last day of AWE, I was eating breakfast in the media lounge. It was a very quiet morning. I think either everyone was still recovering from the previous night's after party, or maybe they just had already made plans to leave the conference. But I was sitting there, and a gentleman approached me from a company called Auki Labs, and we were talking about different experiences that we'd had on the expo hall floor and different presentations that we went to. And then we got to the subject of his company. His name was Nils, and he introduced me to some very cool augmented reality technology that allows for very quick setup, multiplayer tracked experiences. We raced little race cars around the room, either on the table or even hopping down onto the floor. There was no room scanning that took place. It was all tracked real time. The plane detection was fantastic, and the multiplayer positioned our little cars in a manner that between devices was pretty seamless. I was pretty impressed with the technology. I'm going to look further into this product and see what type of experiences are being built for it, and see if I can get some multiplayer demo coverage on the channel sometime in the future. But we also had a very deep philosophical conversation of what augmented reality could be. And having had experience with companies like Sony with their Lost Dog audio driven augmented reality experience, I can say that AR is not just whatever the highest fidelity display you put in a set of glasses or on a phone. It can be whatever words or stories you want it to be, as long as it impacts you. And I felt that Nils had kind of a similar philosophy to that, maybe even expanding it a little bit further to that interpersonal connection that you have with someone, and kind of the tales that you tell, and maybe you sound like a crazy person, but you've augmented that other person's reality. I even invited Nils, after meeting him, to try out the kind of last experience that I tried at AWE, which was one of the things that excited me most. The Void is coming back. The Void was and will be my favorite location-based VR experience. And they partnered with a company called Xcom Labs, who does very good quality, high fidelity wireless transmission of data. They did an AR demo where, using a HoloLens 2, there were 3 scenes, but there was no load time between the scenes, where I got to interact with a baseball player and pitcher. So someone as a batter, swinging the bat, hitting the ball, the pitcher throwing the ball in a fully photogrammetry 3D volumetric scene made by 8eye. And then I moved forward, and there was a jukebox that you could interact with, and then see 2 dancers on a dance floor. And then moving even further forward, there was a huge model of a helicopter, which very similar to the huge model of a car in the Varjo Reality Cloud demo, had a ton of detail. You could again read the very fine text, which is actually really hard to do with a HoloLens 2 without this type of technology. And I was impressed by the AR demo, but I was really, really, really excited for trying out the Void demo. They had the actual kind of raised platform with heating and cooling elements that if you have visited the Void in the past, the Void had. It was a fairly simple demo where you and your partners in the demo were kind of spirit, like forest spirit avatars, and it used a 170-degree hand tracking sensor from Ultraleap attached to the front of a VIVE Focus 3. And the beauty of an HTC VIVE Focus 3 is if you map an environment with one headset, you can then take that map profile and deploy it to as many other headsets as you want to use in that environment. So that's exactly what they had done. And using their wireless technology, Xcom Labs put a little antenna on the back of the Focus 3 that they said will eventually potentially become just an accessory that you just buy and plug in. And they had 10 wireless access points around the room, and it was just like wearing the old backpack PC with the Void, and it was tremendous. And Nils had never experienced the Void. Having that in-person co-located experience was extremely powerful, and I'm so glad we grew a garden in a desert with huge trees and booming vibration as the trees came out of the ground, heat from the sun and wind blowing in our faces. It was tremendous, and I'm so excited to see this development, and hopefully the Void partnered with Xcom, partnered with HTC with the VIVE Focus 3, and partnered with Ultraleap for the 170-degree hand tracking, can come back with a vengeance and get as many people as they can through their hyper reality location-based experiences, because the Void is something that is extremely remarkable. There are others competitors in the marketplace. The closest I would say is Dreamscape Immersive, but nothing really held a candle to the Void, and I'm really excited to see what they come back with, whether they come back with their older experiences or if they just bring new things to market. So stay tuned. I'm hoping to do kind of a rise and fall and rise of the Void video at some point. I actually have some of their old equipment myself in my home because I was extremely sad to see them go, and I wanted to preserve that memory for myself. So I might actually make a video showing off that equipment and comparing it to the equipment that could hypothetically be used in a future version of the Void. Again, this was just a demo experience. It was a short experience by the re-emerging company, the Void, in partnership with Xcom Labs to demonstrate their wireless technology, leveraging the VIVE Focus 3 and the Ultraleap sensor. I don't know if that's what's going to actually be in the Void when the Void re-emerges. I'm not sure when that return to market will be, but it was great to see the folks behind the Void in person, to meet the folks from Xcom Labs who are extremely passionate about bringing good wireless fidelity to XR. Man, it was the best way to cap off AWE for me, to kind of see that new life coming from what once was. And that's one of the things that I really have, as someone that's been in the VR world for a while, this particular technology just excites me to see the advancement from a bulky, extremely heavy backpack with a lot of friction to get users into it. They had like these mounting almost lockers that you had to sit in front of, and they'd put the backpack on you and strap you in, and then push a button to release the backpack from the locker, and then put the headset on you that was attached by this umbilical cord, essentially. And now, you just put the Focus 3 on, and you can be transported into that world. You don't need controllers because they've got great hand tracking with the Ultraleap sensor. It's It's almost mind-blowing to me that just in a few short years we've gotten from huge, bulky, friction-filled to put the headset on and be transported. Now, obviously, still going to be used for location-based. You're not going to have the void in your living room. There's a huge scaffold with mounted access points, with heat lamps, with giant fans for the wind, with a rumble floor. That's not something you're going to have in your house. It is something, though, that you could have in a community center. You could have location-based experiences just about anywhere with a small amount of space. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for location-based VR and AR. I had a ton of fun trying out this technology. And the final piece of acknowledgement I want to give is all of the friends that I either got to see in person for the first time, got to see in person again, or met for the very first time at AWE. There are so many passionate people throughout the VR and AR industry, and we've built a community that is extremely strong, and it grows daily. I had such a great time exploring with these friends and having conversations with these friends, and they were meaningful conversations and deep conversations. And honestly, I've already talked to other people who have said that this event has changed their lives, and strangely, I think it has changed my life too. I'm going to be a bit more conscious about the content that I put out in the future, and a bit more conscious about staying positive and supporting people, and not falling into the trap of hype cycles, not falling into the trap of us versus them, because there is no us versus them in the AR or VR community at this time. We all want this technology to succeed. We all want to support each other. Reality is, developers from across the world are working to make VR and AR change the world, and hopefully change the world for the better. I hope you've enjoyed this video and this recap of Augmented World Expo's USA 2022 event. I will be back with more content soon. If you have questions about anything I talked about, which I talked about a ton of stuff, or if you want to ask me about things that I didn't talk about that I may have seen and not remembered, feel free to leave a comment or reach out to me. I love to talk about this technology. I want to see it succeed. I see nothing but potential from literally every company that I interacted with and every person that I interacted with at this event. I cannot thank the folks at Horizon PR and the organizers at AWE enough for inviting me to cover this event. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.